you can be a winner. That's right, you can win big on the Awakened Radio Network. Check out our homepage, awakenedradio.net, for the latest contests, the latest giveaways. Recently, we've awarded winners just for calling in, just for typing in the chat room, just for making a comment in our forum. All sorts of gifts, heirlooms, seeds, e-books, and many more prizes are on the way. Right now, you can make a huge difference with $1 by going to awakenedradio.net. There on the homepage, you'll see the graphic and the information of how your donation of $1 can not only help the station, not only help open you up to Bravo Energy, but it places your name in a drawing to win a full 1-hour Bravo session with Donna Devane. This is a $100 value for $1. Come on, make a difference for $1. Win prizes. Join us in our live chat room. Call in on our live shows. Add comments to our forums. You can win. Every week there's a new winner, and a lot of times there's new winners every night. Join us for live talk radio on the best online talk radio station anywhere in the world, Awakened Radio Network at awakenedradio.net. Or if you can't make it to our website, listen on your mobile device. I love you.
Now tuned in to Your Unfolding Senses on Awakened Radio. I'm your host, Ragozzine. This show is all about opening to and listening to your full intuitive capabilities. I offer tips and techniques such as meditation, dream work, and more for relaxing and connecting to your intuition. I'm on the air Thursday at 9 p.m. Central, 10 p.m. Eastern. This show is brought to you by intuitionbyrob.net, helping you to connect to your own inner wisdom. Please enjoy the show and invite your friends. Hello everyone, thanks for tuning in. It's July 25th, 2013. I'm your host, Rob Ragozzine, and welcome to Your Unfolding Senses tonight. We're here for a full hour, and if you're open to exploring dreams or other intuitive questions, I'll gladly take your calls tonight. And Your Unfolding Senses is all about opening to your own inner wisdom. We're all intuitive. We talk about tools, technology, and techniques for centering and connecting inward and learning to truly listen to our inner voice, with a focus on helping you to find those tools that work for you. Many of us haven't found a way to hear the messages that are already coming into our life, and you may often notice billboards, coincidences, recurring numbers, certain animals that keep showing up, or other patterns. And you can, again, call in and talk about those. If you notice a particular animal that keeps showing up in your life, or a number, feel free to call in and ask questions or comment on the tools that work for you, intuition, dreams, or the topic that we're discussing tonight, which is slowing down. You can join us in the chat room at awakenedradio.net and click on the live chat tab, or join us on the air by adding Awakened Radio to Skype or dialing 334-649-7204. Now, what I'm talking about, of course, doesn't replace medical advice, so work with your doctor, nutritionist, body worker, or other healthcare practitioners if you have any serious health issues. Now, essentially, we're talking about listening to your inner guidance, no matter your age, background, or ideology, making room in your life for your inner voice to shine through. So no matter who you are, you still have the capability to connect to your intuition. You can think of it as a giant broadcast station, and you have the ability to tune in and connect with whatever you need or want to. Are you tuned into those stations and channels that are uplifting or not? And as you're listening tonight, this can be a true opportunity to slow down, especially as we're talking about that this evening, and you have the opportunity to suspend your doubt and disbelief, at least for this next hour, and we'll make time to connect in and make space for stillness. And gradually, this space can unfold into your outer life. And with that in mind, I invite you to take part in the meditation that we have. We'll do a short meditation to help us be better capable of entering a space of knowing and openness, in which we feel better connected to our bodies, minds, spirit, and intuition. You can bring a question to mind that you've been wondering about. You might light a candle or light some incense, but be careful, be safe. And there'll be some giveaways tonight, so after the meditation we'll talk about those. And as we're talking about slowing down, I'll ask you to think about a question around that. So you might say, how can I slow down in my life? And how can I help myself move past anxiety or stress or doubt and allow for a phrase, a sound, word, or symbol to come to you during the meditation? And as long as you're in a safe spot, you can follow along in our meditation, but not, of course, if you're driving. So finding a quiet space and sitting or comfortably lying down and closing your eyes and beginning to breathe slowly and gently. Releasing any stress from the day, breathing gently into yourself and your heart, letting go of any doubts, any worries, feeling them melt away, continuing your breath, deepening your breathing, letting your mind quiet and your body rest. Feel yourself filling with peace and tranquility. Bring your focus to your heart and wonder what it might have been asking for. You may also wish to bring your hands to your heart and allow your awareness of it to deepen as you breathe and meditate. Settle into the stillness and feel all of your senses open, grow, and deepen. Know that this is a special place where you can clearly hear your own inner voice, however it speaks to you. Be mindful of how this space feels. And when you're ready, you might ask a question or notice any messages available to you within this space. Your inner ears might hear a word or a phrase. Your inner eyes might see a color, shape, or picture. Your other senses might pick up a fragrance or a long-forgotten flavor or a sense of a place. You might notice other sensations as well. Simply pay attention to these, and if you don't understand what they mean for you, ask for deeper clarity. Allow whatever comes to you to come. If nothing does, that's okay. Don't force anything to happen. Rest in the stillness and inner peace. This could be the very thing your heart has been asking for. Notice how your body feels in this space and time of stillness. Breathe into the parts of your body that feel tight or stressed, and allow yourself to feel the comfort of this space, knowing that you can come here anytime, feeling gratitude for it and thanking it as we prepare to leave. And when you're ready, slowly bring your focus back to your body and back to the room, and gently opening your eyes and coming back to us. Now tonight, as I already mentioned, we're having some giveaways, And Donna has mentioned that she has pewter necklaces. So I guess you'll have some options. Lead-free pewter necklaces. And I'm also giving away a free mini reading that I posted on my Facebook page for the intuitive challenge tonight. All you have to do is be the first caller to call in and discuss your process about how you came to your intuitive conclusion about the historical figure. On my website, intuitionbyrob.net, I have a historical figure up, and you can explore intuitively who this person is and try to determine what his life was like, where he lived, what his friends were like, what he did for work, and then you can click through at the bottom of the page and get an answer. And as I said, you can be the first person to call in and describe what you sensed, and that's it. We're working with a well-known person from history, and even if you happen to already know who the figure is, you can still connect to your intuition and see what you can intuit. And I posted the link to the challenge in the chat room, and it will be on my forum page here at awakenradio.net as well. And I'll give hints after the break. And again, be the first person to call with the answer or just with your process, and you get a free mini reading. And some hints now to tap into your own intuition is always be comfortable. So don't stress about it. Don't make a big deal about it. And then you can ask yourself questions such as, how do I feel about this person? What feelings does this person trigger within me now? What memories does this person trigger for me? And then be willing to let go of the inner critical voice that says, this is kind of silly. How do I work with intuition through a picture? But just pay attention to how you feel. You might have a flash of memory. You might be connected to a feeling. Don't dismiss whatever you get. And you might want to write down your feelings or intuitive hits in a journal, and maybe draw pictures, maybe write a poem, whatever you feel connected to, write it down in your journal. Maybe a song comes to your mind, whatever it is, write it down, and you can work with it to dig deeper into figuring out who this person is. So just notice whatever comes to you and pay attention to your emotions. Notice whatever keeps coming back to you. And if you're not getting anything, you might just try picking up a pen and writing down whatever comes to mind. And now, last week we talked about the paleo lifestyle, and this week we're talking about slowing down, developing greater awareness for ourselves, spending time perhaps in silence, being aware of ourselves and how we actually feel. If we're not feeling well, then we're probably not functioning at 100% or even close. Of course, food's always important, and yes, cost is a factor, but there's ways around that. But we're really looking at how we value ourselves, and food, I guess, will be an issue there, but we're looking at it from self-worth and wanting to take care of yourself, making your space comfortable and rejuvenating, where you want to spend time and to slow down. So to really pay attention to your immediate surroundings. The first thing you might look at within your own life is your personal patterns and cycles. Lots of people get out of bed, take a shower, have coffee, put on the news, and that starts the cycle of stress for the whole day. And that's our routine every day of the week. The same routine. We're numb to it, and we don't really think about it. We're on autopilot. And a good idea that I often do is to set an intention for the day. So you wake up, put your feet on the ground, and whatever comes to mind, whatever you're desiring, whatever your heart yearns for, set an intention to begin to find it that day, to begin to actually realize that it's already there in your life. You just might not be paying attention to it. So it's really, we're slowing down and we're becoming aware of ourselves in our routines, in the way we're living our life, and not being oblivious to it. We're stepping out of being busy, stepping out of being overwhelmed with stuff to do, and finding a way to stop rushing from here to there, multitasking, and giving ourselves attention and paying attention to our attention span, noticing whether or not we have focus, whether our minds are wandering, and when they do, I recommend finding a way to come back to the present. And Richard Carlson says, we cram our days with activities, thinking that each one of them is important and absolutely necessary. We schedule virtually every minute of every day. We say we want free time, but few of us can sit still even for a moment. So that's what I'm really talking about tonight. How can we sit still for that moment and step away from a feeling of being rushed? It's often saturates our whole day, from when we leave for work to the time we get back home. We just feel on edge, and then we drink coffee, we drink energy drinks, we don't eat properly, and we look at how successful we're living by how efficient we are and our productivity, and we're trying to squeeze everything that we can into the day, and we feel bad when we cancel something because we feel overwhelmed and stressed. I know I do that. Now the question becomes, how do we break out? And there are many simple yet effective techniques that we can do, that we've heard about in the news over and over again, that some of which I've talked about already. One of them, of course, is really getting back to gardening, or having plants, and paying attention to nature. Now, if you live in the city, you can grow some small plants indoors, but there's plenty of research around the rejuvenating effects of gardening. Bacteria within the soil when you garden helps to release serotonin, so that helps you to feel better about yourself. That is, if you're gardening without gloves. And you might also want to think about going to the park and doing meditation outside in nature. And I know, at least here in Connecticut, there's a MedMob group that meets once a month at a park or outside somewhere, and all it is like a flash mob, and people gather to meditate for a short period of time, and they're outside in nature, and they're together. They might not know each other, but it's a way to actually try meditating outside and connected to nature and not feel embarrassed about being by yourself. You might also try walking on the beach barefoot. That's also very healing, very rejuvenating. And of course, we've talked about meditating before, but it can be very helpful for you to learn to slow down. Just the process of getting ready to meditate, I think, helps you to be aware of your space and yourself, and whether or not you feel stressed and disconnected. So just getting ready to meditate is part of the meditation process, because now you have to find a place to meditate. It could be a chair or a cushion, or it could be a room in your home, but that has to be obviously ready for you to be there. And when we talked about silence and noise a few weeks ago, we noted that when the body experiences that annoyance of sound, there's a whole slew of psychological changes that occur. And what's happening is your muscles are tightening, your adrenaline is rising, and other things are happening within the bloodstream that are associated with increased blood pressure and inflammatory issues and responses, and which can be obviously implicated in heart issues. So slowing down obviously can help us to connect in with that and help us to feel less stress and more calm. And of course, that's a good measurement to the effectiveness of meditating, because now that we're slowing down, we should be at least attempting, well, we're not really attempting to do anything, but we could measure our blood pressure before and after meditating over a period of time, and ask yourself how you feel, keep a log, keep measurements, and that can show you for yourself the effectiveness of meditation. There's also a whole bunch of neat tools for tracking and walking and sleep patterns. You don't necessarily need them, but it can help if you have them, to make a game of it, to make it fun, the whole process of slowing down. And I don't really recommend any particular one, but try them out. And again, tonight I've posted in the chat room a link to my intuitive exercise, intuitive challenge, where you can intuitively connect with the historical person and see what you can determine with your intuition about this person. And the first person to call in and talk about that, what they perceived, will win a free mini reading, and also, I believe, a pewter necklace, lead free, of course. A big question for many people, if they don't realize what the effects of slowing down are already, is why slow down? Obviously, we can become more present, more intimate with ourselves, more intimate with others. We can have heightened awareness and really start to have greater peace of mind and reduce stress. And I really recommend finding a way to log that for yourself, so to notice the measurables such as your breathing rate, your blood pressure, skin tone, weight, improved physical health, things of that nature. And obviously slowing down provides us time for problem solving and reflection. And most of all, it really lets us know more about ourselves and see aspects of our life that might have been hidden when the mind's all busy, buzzy feeling. Gives us time for listening, time for, again, being in a relationship. And I'd like to talk about Matthew Ricard, who's a Buddhist monk who was really involved with science as a molecular biologist in France about 40 years ago, and he really started to study and be a researcher for meditation and the effects it has, especially around compassion and brain plasticity. And you can catch up on him. I've posted in the forum about some of his research. My post includes links to some of his videos. He says, we try to fix the outside so much, but our control of the outer world is limited, temporary, and often illusory. So he's really trying to get us to expand and explore our capacity for meditation. And he really looks at it from the point of how we can increase our happiness, how we can open up ourselves to greater compassionate feelings for others. Now, He says, the goal of meditation is precisely to make your mind smooth and manageable so that it can be concentrated or relaxed at will, and especially to free it from the tyranny of mental afflictions and confusion. And he's really trying to get us to look at how we can open up ourselves to expanding our capacity for compassion through meditation. And there's plenty of research around how when we increase our compassion within our lives, we can really deepen our own capacity for compassionate thoughts and compassionate actions. And several years ago, I took a workshop that spanned 3 weekends over the course of a year, and we spent half of that year focusing on compassion and meditation. And it first convinced me that this is an important element, and to continue it to this day, really. So it's really helping you to free yourself of mental constraints, because when you're not just working with compassion for yourself, obviously, when you're ready, you can expand it out into the world for other people. So now you can look at them from a different mindset as you're changing your mind. And Matthew likens it to bringing calm into your mind, and as if he gives the example of, you see a key at the bottom of a lake, but you don't reach in and pick it up. You try to pick it up with a stick, and all it does is muddy up the waters. And he says you really have to wait until, the mud clears out and it calms down. Then you can actually reach out and get the key. And we'll cover some of this, how we get the key, later tonight. And there's also other researchers doing similar work to Matthew, including Tanya Singer, who talks about the difference between empathy and compassion, and she's really focusing on the compassion. And what she says is empathy is almost an emotional contagion, not that different from yawning, but compassion is about getting to the same emotional state as another person, not getting into the same emotional state, but rather having a warm feeling rooted in a desire to alleviate the pain of another. So as we're slowing down and talking about slowing down, we're really making space in our heart to have compassion and not necessarily empathy for other people, including ourselves. She says because compassion doesn't mirror the stressful emotions of the other, it doesn't cause the same level of burnout in caregivers. So, especially if you're a caregiver for your family or for other people, you can practice having compassion for yourself and practice bringing compassion into your meditation on a regular basis to really expand not only your capacity for love of yourself, but love and compassion for others. And there's less burnout, and you can look to the research done by Tanya Singer and Matthew Ricard about that. Now, what we notice when we start to get quiet, we really start to notice our inner chatter. And meditation is obviously helping us to learn to listen to ourselves, but a lot of that inner chatter is self-deprecating or negative, or even worse. You're telling yourself a constant stream of bad things, and that keeps you disconnected from the meditation that you'd like to do, disconnected from your life. And we'll talk more about this as we continue to explore, but we have about 3 minutes to break. So I'd like to give some hints around the figure that I have posted to the Intuitive Challenge, and I guess my first hint really is about noticing the humor within your life, and that is a pretty strong hint. And we have about 3 minutes, so I'd like, if you're interested in calling in after we come back, please do so. Again, the number is 334. You can come to the chat room at awakenedradio.net /live chat room, or click on the chat room tab, and really that helps you to connect with us right there. Or you can add Awakened Radio to Skype or dial 334-649-7204. Lost my notes there for a second, sorry about that. But again, you have the chance to win the necklaces, the pewter necklaces, lead free, and a mini reading with me, and just call in and talk about your process exploring this person intuitively. I'd like to see what you actually were able to pick up in your intuitions. And we'll continue with some hints when we get back from the break, but I'll leave us with a quote before the break. And John Kabat-Zinn, talking about meditation, says, meditation is the only intentional, systematic human activity which at bottom is about not trying to improve yourself or getting anywhere else, but simply to realize where you already are. So really, not trying to strive for something else, to be someone else, to be in a different place, but to settle into yourself and not be dismissing your intuition for one, but not dismissing yourself, and bringing self-value into the equation, and recognize where you already self-value yourself and where you don't. But where you are is okay. We're not trying to necessarily fix anything. We're bringing greater awareness into our lives.
And this is Donna Devane, the station owner here at Awakened Radio, and I want to invite everyone listening to join Rob Ragozzine right now, live on the air in the Awakened Radio chat room at awakenedradio.net /live chat room, where if you call in after having looked at his challenge tonight, you can win a free mini reading with him, and the first person who calls in and asks questions or makes a comment, I'll be more than happy to award them a free lead-free pewter necklace. And the first new person in the chat room tonight at awakenedradio.net live chat room, I will give a necklace to. So come on over to awakenedradio.net and take part in what we're doing. Rob would love to have you as company.
Now tuned in to your unfolding senses on Awakened Radio. I'm your host, Rob Ragozzine. This show is all about opening to and listening to your full intuitive capabilities. I offer tips and techniques such as meditation, dream work, and more for relaxing and connecting to your intuition. I'm on the air Thursday at 9 p.m. Central, 10 p.m. Eastern. This show is brought to you by intuitionbyrob.net, helping you to connect to your own inner wisdom. Please enjoy the show and invite your friends. And we're back. And I was talking about listening to our own inner chatter before we left for break. And, well, obviously we know what that's about. People telling themselves, my life's never going to get better. There's no other way. I've tried everything. But simply being willing to ask, what am I saying to myself, might be a stepping stone to helping yourself shift away from some of that activity. So instead of telling yourself that you don't have any value, you can begin to tell yourself, maybe that's not true, and try to really dig into what that might be connected to, but that might be a difficult process at first. So I offer an opportunity to really take a few minutes right now to turn into your mind and pay attention to what you're sensing and feeling. So wherever you are, if you're not driving, of course, you might notice how much resistance or pullback you have to shifting your awareness and focus from an external one to simply sensing how you feel and just being right there and noticing how your mind zips and flits and jumps from thought to thought to thought and weaving stories, weaving false stories most likely sometimes, and just to notice when you're not in the present moment. So you could be sitting there and all of a sudden you're thinking about 5 weeks ago or 5 years ago or 50 years ago, but it's right now. So instead of getting caught in that, you might tell yourself, I'm thinking, and let it go. It's not serving you in the present moment. And that can be included in your meditation process. Simply telling yourself, I'm thinking. And go back to sitting stilly and letting yourself focus on your breath, or focusing on just being right there, sitting, feeling. And it doesn't have to look, when you meditate, like the magazine covers. I'm not the biggest yoga fan, but deeper awareness can come from meditating, and there are more ways to do it than some of the intimidating poses you see in the movies or on the magazine covers. You don't have to do it that way. And if you're not ready for meditating, you might try to begin some sort of slow movement with body sense awareness, and that alone has great health benefits, especially in combination with regular exercise. Alan Fogel of the Psychology Today magazine says, body sense is medicine. It is nature's perfect blend of psyche and soma, in which the practice of attention regulation, promoted by slow movement practices, it combines with your body's readiness to direct its resources towards healing. And I believe I have a link to his article where he talks about slow movement and developing body sense awareness in the forum. And one way to do this that I posted on my forum page and on my blog is through walking meditation. But doing it with an awareness of your inner chatter can provide a little new depth. So embarking on a walking meditation, but just notice when you're not focused on the walk and you started to drift off into what's for dinner, what happened yesterday. So as we'll talk about that right now. So as you're walking, your goal is just to keep moving forward. It doesn't have to be fast, and it's not about fidgeting or waving hello to everyone. It's not really going anywhere. You can walk in a circle. It's paying attention to the process of walking, perhaps even in bare feet if you're in a safe environment at the beach or in the park and there's not a lot of glass around or other sharp objects. So you start with your feet about shoulder width apart, bringing your awareness to them, and slowly shifting your awareness from foot to foot, and then extend one foot forward, then the next, and be aware of the muscles in your feet, in the heel, in the arch, in your toes, whatever you can experience as you move forward. You don't have to watch your legs move. You can just sense them, and your eyes will be focused about a yard ahead. And I recommend doing this in a space that you have the freedom to walk in a large circle. If a park allows you to do this without getting hit with a frisbee or a running dog, then you can do this. Usually I go early in the morning, and this can work then when it first opens up. And if you're walking in a straight line, at the end you can stop and be mindful of your turning process and then turn back and do that until you're done with the process. But it really helps to do this in a loop. And with each step, you're noticing your rhythm and you're settling into yourself. And it's a form of meditation that you can try, that you're not sitting and doing nothing. And it can really help you to relax and slow down. And of course, it's best to do this by yourself at a quiet location. But I'm sure you can find the time and a place that's appropriate. And it doesn't matter whether you're walking early or later. However, obviously you want to distance yourself from distractions. So again, I've written about this and I think talked about it a little bit. You'll want to turn off your phone or mute it and leave the portable electronics at home. So you're not listening to music as you're walking. You're basically just walking and stepping into a silent space, a silent moment. And you just set an intention to walk silently for a comfortable amount of time. And you're not looking around the park and you're not socializing, you're walking. And just to notice how it feels to have walked, how freeing it feels. And Thich Nhat Hanh says, freedom is not given to us by anyone. We have to cultivate it ourselves. It is a daily practice. No one can prevent you from being aware of each step you take or each breath in and each breath out. So this is the process of connecting inward and truly slowing down and noticing your walking rhythm, noticing how it feels to move about, but not to pay overly too much attention to it. And it's a way to slow down. That's not the sitting meditation, as I've already mentioned. So what's the point of meditating? Well, it's really to help simplify your life and to slow down, and really to bring to light some of the inner chatter that's going on in your mind that you might not have been paying close attention to. So it's helping us to slow down. It's helping us to clear out some of the junk, some of the clutter that's in there, some of doing our shadow work. It helps us with that process to be aware of where we're limiting ourselves, where we're constricting ourselves, where we're telling ourselves that we're not good enough. We need to uncover that and let it go. It does, of course, take some discipline and courage, but it's helpful. It's like finding the on-off switch of your mind, and at least for the chatter part of the mind. And of course, remember compassion. It's not about inaction. It's about treating yourself with respect and fairly, and helps you to step away from that cyclical pattern that we all get stuck in, and avoiding the rut, avoiding the burning out. And it gives you the ability to see when you're actually dwelling in your thoughts, when you slow down and start to pay attention to them. And the walking meditation can help you to do that, because now you have to be focused on the walking or sitting, whatever you're doing. So just to notice what's coming up and begin to ask, how can I let the thoughts go, and notice what you've been trying to avoid or rush around or not handle. Because a side effect of all the worrying and the chatter is that the body gets tight, it gets tense, it becomes restrictive. So then movement becomes more difficult. So that's where the walking meditation, or things like yoga or Tai Chi or other forms of exercise, can help you to loosen yourself and let go of some of this restriction that's been holding you back. And again, we have the opportunity to win a necklace tonight for the first caller that calls in and talks about the intuitive challenge, and in a mini reading from me. So the station's offering pewter necklaces, and I'm offering a free mini reading. Now, obviously, when we start to look within ourselves, we can look without the space that we're living within, as I was mentioning before. And if you want to take part in the Intuitive Challenge, you can call 334-649-7204 or add Awakened Radio to Skype, or come to the chat room by clicking on the live chat tab at awakenedradio.net to take part in that contest. And the contest is posted in the chat room. I'll have to repost it, but it's also on my forum page. I've reposted it. Now, so to pay attention to the chatter is the first thing. That's what's important here. And then to find a way to continue to do that. And obviously, meditation is a helpful way to do that. And to notice, when you begin to notice your space, it might not feel comfortable, but you don't need a lot of space, obviously, if you're not walking. If you're just sitting, you could use a small area, the edge of a sidewalk, a patch of grass, a corner of your workspace, a chair in your living room. It doesn't have to be special. We don't have to wait until we can find that special church or temple or synagogue or other space that's designed for contemplation. We can do it within our homes, just sitting down on our bed or lying there. It's just having the intention to open up to ourselves, and that's all you really need. And it doesn't have to be complicated, and it doesn't have to look like the meditators or the yoga people in the magazines with the stretching and the bending or the complicated poses for the meditations. It's just sitting and allowing yourself to sit in stillness, to be still for a moment. And that really in itself is a big thing, because the whole culture really is about moving constantly forward, evaluating, thinking, doing. But simply by beginning to slow your mind down and begin to look at the inner stories that you're telling yourself, you can stop that cycle, at least slow it down. And it's a way towards shifting and healing, and eventually the constant chatter lessens and goes away, subsides. And then you can open new doors and new opportunities. So the challenge for the coming weeks is to look at your need to multitask and let go of it. Do one thing at a time. See what happens. Can you focus on one thing at a time for that long? Well, meditating can help you to develop that capacity, but instead of doing 15 things at once, do one thing until it's done. And begin to realize really how much time you're giving to the other things, but it keeps you disengaged from other people, especially when you're in a conversation and you're on your cell phone talking to someone, checking email and checking the weather all at the same time. So just notice that, see what happens. That's the challenge. And if you're not meditating, I welcome you to go and try it for 5 minutes a day. See how that helps you to develop a regular practice. And if you are, question if you're doing it regularly, and start to do it regularly. And take some steps to really begin slowing down. So instead of eating takeout, cook your own meals. That's going to help you to connect inward to yourself as well, because now you'll be enjoying, you can meditate while you're cooking. And of course, don't burn the food. We're not zoning out, but you can sort of do a silent cook as you cook and stir the food and watch it cook. You can silently focus inwardly to yourself and notice the smells as you're cooking, notice how you feel, notice what you're thinking about. Treat it that time as your meditation time, at least at the beginning, and that can help you to slow down. So we're really talking about finding time to get quiet, notice our inner chatter, and then really begin to find a way to loosen it up, let it go, reduce it. And meditating is one way to do that, but you don't have to be a Buddhist monk to meditate. You can do a walking meditation. You can bring meditation into mealtime where you prepare your foods. Then you can mindfully eat your food. So instead of gobbling it up and it's gone, you can notice the food and how it tastes and its texture. And that in itself, again, is another form of meditation, and it can definitely help you to connect to yourself and the food that you're eating, and you can really notice the tastes and the qualities of the food, and then that might take you into deeper personal exploration around where you're getting your food. And that's the big movement around slow food, cooking it yourself, maybe growing it yourself. If not that, going to the farmers markets and taking part in the CSA programs, as we talked about last week when we were talking about the paleo diet. So really welcoming in higher and better quality foods and connecting with the farmers and the growers through the farmers markets and the CSA programs, and really bring that awareness into the rest of your life. So instead of scheduling meetings at restaurants that have bad food, you can bring people into your home and really get to know them, for instance. It's really looking at life from a different vantage point, and it's not doing necessarily less, but it's focusing on one thing at a time and really trying to connect with people and develop deeper and more intimate relationships. Being comfortable with ourselves, being more present in our lives, and really taking the time to honor ourselves. And Pema Chodron says, meditation takes us just as we are, with our confusion and our sanity. This complete acceptance of ourselves as we are is called Maitri, or unconditional friendliness, a simple, direct relationship with the way we are. So opening the relationship to yourself and the way you are in the present moment, and not being angry or upset or stressed out about the way that you are, but opening the door to the possibility of change, of healing, of growth, of letting go of the old ways of being and slowing down and really connecting inward and wondering what could be possible to bring into your life and allowing it in, not dismissing it, not telling yourself that this looks silly, letting go of the judgment, not worrying about what other people think, but worrying about how you feel. How do you feel when you start to slow down, when you start to eat better, when you start to bring nourishing thoughts into your life? That's the point, I think, really, of slowing down, is how do I feel, and being willing to question that, and perhaps journaling that, working with art, really getting to notice how you feel and what new things are coming into your life and what your new awareness is bringing in and letting happen. And you might do your own research around your slowing down process, and always remember to pay attention to your mind, and when it's wandering, simply bring it back. And a lot of people will tell you to focus on your breath, and if that helps, to do that, to focus on your breathing and simply bring it back to that. You don't have to tell yourself to stop thinking. You could tell yourself to continue breathing. That's that simple. And obviously, you're not going to stop breathing, so just remember to bring your focus back to that. And you can then use your meditation to really focus on when you are wandering, and what's coming up when you are wandering, and letting some of that go in the beginning. And Matthew Ricard says, you can look at your experience like a fire that burns. If you are aware of anger, you are not angry, you are aware. Be aware of anxiety. It is not being anxious, it is being aware. By being aware of these emotions, you are no longer adding fuel to the fire, and they will burn down. So we're at the end of the show. If you'd like to contact me, you can do that by connecting to my Facebook page for the show, which is Your Unfolding Senses, all one word. Or you can come to intuitionbyrob.net and contact me on my email contact page or through Twitter and Facebook. And if you're so inclined and you've enjoyed our shows, donations are always greatly appreciated here at awakenedradio.net. We're here for no cost to you, so please find it in your heart to click the donate button at the top of all the screens on Awakened Radio, and if it's $1 or $5, whatever it is, it's fine. We're not asking for your grocery money. We're simply asking for help and support. So thank you for that. We have Thrive Magazine. I'm not sure when the new issue will be out, but the deadline for August is August 10th, and you can contribute artwork or articles or poetry, and you can read the past issues of Thrive by coming to awakenradio.net and clicking on Thrive Magazine. And we're always looking for new contributors, so please do that. And thanks for joining me tonight. If you'd like to be a sponsor, you can provide, of this show or any other show, you can provide us with a 30-second audio about your business, and it'll be played 3 times during a particular broadcast, and it'll be replayed when it's archived. So your show will be played, your ad will be played in perpetuity in iTunes and TalkShoe when that show is replayed. And if you have correlates to the expanding, healing, and changing nature of Awakened Radio, then that's a great matchup. And of course, you can come to the Awakened Radio store and buy dream catchers, kefir, gemstones, healing kits, and more. And you can also go to Divine Connections and get intuitive readings from various people, including me. And next week, join us 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central, and we'll continue to talk about personal awareness, slowing down, and finding ways to make space in our lives for truly connecting inward and being intimate with ourselves. And also feel free to contact me and talk to me about how this is working out, how your practice is working out for you. So, any questions that you have, any dreams, any intuitive hits that you got in the challenge, please feel free to email me or contact me on Twitter or Facebook. And I hope you enjoyed the show tonight. I enjoyed talking about slowing down and finding ways to reduce stress, quiet our minds, and really connecting into ourselves. So whatever your process looks like, let me know, and we can talk about how you might deepen that. Thanks for joining me tonight.